welcome back. Today, we're talking about being kind to yourself, and look, I know that can sound a little fluffy, but it's not just some feel-good platitude. It is one of the most powerful, science-backed ways to actually protect your brain. So let's dive in.
So many of us grew up with this idea, right? That being our own toughest critic is the secret sauce for success. We think it'll make us more disciplined, more accountable. But what does the science actually show? Well, it turns out that chronic self-criticism totally backfires. It doesn't motivate us. It paralyzes us with a fear of failure, tanks our motivation, and floods our system with the stress hormone cortisol. It's a trap, and it keeps us stuck.
Okay, so if being hard on ourselves is actually bad for us, what's the alternative? What are we supposed to do instead? Well, the research points to a really powerful psychological buffer against this trap, the practice of self-kindness, or what psychologists call self-compassion.
Now, let's be super clear about what this is and what it isn't. This isn't about self-pity or just letting yourself off the hook. Not at all. In psychology, self-compassion is seen as a skill. It's a way to regulate your emotions by making a conscious choice to treat yourself with care and understanding, especially when you're facing failure or just having a really tough time. Researcher Kristen Neff, who is a total pioneer in this field, breaks it down into 3 core parts. First, there's self-kindness itself. Simple enough, right? It's about treating yourself with care instead of that harsh internal judgment. Second is common humanity. This is all about remembering that being imperfect and struggling is part of the human experience. Everyone goes through it. And third, there's mindfulness, having the ability to notice your negative thoughts and feelings without getting totally swept away by them. Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating. Practicing self-kindness isn't just a mental shift, it's a neurological one. We're talking about physically changing your brain. So let's take a look at what's actually happening inside your head when you choose kindness over criticism.
Ugh, this thought. We've all been there. But a simple, self-critical thought like, I'm a failure, does more than just make you feel bad. It acts like a trigger, setting off a very specific and very loud alarm system in your brain. So what happens is your brain literally interprets your own internal criticism as if it's an external physical threat. Seriously, it can't tell the difference between a tiger chasing you and your own harsh inner voice. It hits the same panic button, the fight or flight response.
So you basically have these 2 competing systems inside your brain. On one side, self-criticism fires up the threat system. Your amygdala lights up, cortisol gets released, and you feel anxious and under attack. But self-kindness does the complete opposite. It activates the caregiving system. This engages the part of your nervous system that calms you down and releases oxytocin, the calm and connect hormone, which leads to feelings of safety and being soothed.
And that neurological switch from threat to safety does something else that is absolutely crucial. It breaks the cycle of rumination. You know that hamster wheel of negative thinking you can get stuck on? By calming the threat response, self-kindness literally shifts your brain out of that static, judgmental state and into one where you can actually solve problems. So what does this actually look like in real life? Let's take one single event, making a mistake, and follow the 2 dramatically different paths your brain can take, all based on your response.
Okay, path 1 is the self-criticism spiral, and it's probably pretty familiar. You make a mistake, your immediate reaction is to criticize yourself harshly. That criticism then fuels this deep sense of shame, which makes you want to just withdraw and avoid everything. And over time, this pattern of shame and avoidance can lead directly to depressive symptoms.
But wait, there's another path. You make the exact same mistake, but this time, instead of criticism, you offer yourself a little understanding. This allows you to regulate your emotions instead of getting overwhelmed by them. And from that calmer place, you're actually able to re-engage, learn from what happened, and ultimately build resilience. Same mistake, completely different outcome.
Okay, we've seen the science, we get the psychology, so how do we actually do this? How do we make sure we choose that second path? Let's talk about a few simple, science-backed tools you can start using right now.
The first tool is a question, and it is so simple but so powerful. The next time you catch yourself in that self-critical spiral, just stop and ask, would I ever speak to a friend this way? The answer is almost always a hard no, and that question alone can be enough to completely shift your internal tone.
Another great tool is the supportive reframe. This is about actively rewriting your own internal script. So instead of a catastrophic thought like, I messed everything up, you consciously catch it and reframe it into something more realistic and growth-oriented. Like, okay, I made a mistake, but I can learn from this.
This simple little phrase taps directly into that core component of common humanity. Just telling yourself, this is part of being human, normalizes the struggle. It breaks that awful feeling of isolation that can be a key driver of depression, reminding you that you are not alone in your imperfection.
And finally, try practicing emotional validation. Simply telling yourself, it makes sense that I feel this way, doesn't mean you're stuck in that feeling forever. It just stops that second battle where you're judging yourself for having the feeling in the first place. It reduces that internal conflict and allows the emotion to pass through you much more easily.
When you boil it all down, it really comes to this. Your inner voice can either be your harshest, most relentless critic, constantly activating your brain's threat system and keeping you stuck, or it can be your most consistent and reliable source of support, creating a sense of safety from the inside out.
That shift from a state of internal threat to one of internal safety is one of the most powerful protections your mind can ever develop. And ultimately, the choice is yours. Who will you choose to be?